Okay, so we're gonna make some masks. This is the type of mask that we're gonna make. And I know some of you are gonna be like, but I don't think those are regulation masks. Well, you know what? They're not regulation masks. But as you can tell with a coffee filter, some are better than others, but it's still filtering your coffee. You wanna be able to do some form of protection. I also wanna point out that some people have said that they're dipping their masks into like Lysol or Clorox or something. Do not do that. Do not put chemicals on something that you're gonna be breathing through. Not a good idea. So we're gonna have a pocket inside of the mask so that we could put a Swiffer filter, like one of those flat pieces that goes on the bottom of your mop, and we're just gonna cut it in half and we're gonna stick it inside of here, and then you've got an extra one to replace that one when you wash it. So here's what you're gonna need. You're going to need fabric. You're gonna want stuff that's good for male, female, kids, whatever. If you wanna make them all exactly the same, that is great. I find that working with stripes is better because whenever you fold the fabric, you can see right where you are. It's great for people who are beginners. You're gonna want a piece that is 12 by 9. That's the piece that you're gonna use. So you're gonna cut out several pieces that are 12 by 9. You're gonna need your Swiffer inserts. And then because you can't buy 1/4 inch elastic right now because everybody went out and hogged it all up, you can buy leggings or you can buy tights. And then you cut the tights like this by 1/4 inch, and it makes these tubes which work as the elastic that you're gonna use. So you're gonna take your piece of fabric that you've already cut and you're going to mark a line down the center of it so that when you fold it over, you can always see where that middle line is because it's gonna be on the inside of the fabric anyway. Then you're gonna take and you're gonna go to both of the short sides and you're gonna have the inside out facing you, and you're gonna fold it in on the short sides by about 1/4 inch, and then you're gonna sew all the way down. All right, this is me doing what I just told you I was going to do, and we folded it in 1/4 inch on the short sides. And we're just gonna sew all the way down it. Now I'm gonna do the same exact thing with the other side. So this is what you're gonna have when you're done with that. It's gonna be slightly folded in right here and sewn down the sides, and you're gonna have your mark showing the middle of it right down the center. Now we're gonna take this, fold it in half. Again, we're gonna be inside out and match up the ends just as exact as you can, like that. So instead of the elastic, if you cut the leggings, they're gonna look like this, or in a loop, and you're gonna just cut it open. If you cut the tights, they're gonna look like this and make a little tube. Once you cut this, you gotta kind of pull on it like that if you're using the leggings, because then it turns it into this tube so you can use it for elastic. Now, when you flip this back inside right, you're gonna want to have these 2 elastics on the outside. So when you take this piece of fabric that's folded in half, make sure you got this even right here, and then mark a little arrow right here in the corner so you can see where the corner is when you're inserting your elastic. So your elastic is going to be put on the inside of this folded fabric, and it's going to go just like this, and you're going to sew it here and sew it here so that it's like that, but it's going to be on the inside. So we're going to put this on the inside here, right up here in the corner, even with the fabric, right at the little arrows that we just marked on the fabric so that we know that that is right at the corner. So I'm still holding that little piece of elastic inside of here, and I'm going to put it right inside. And I'm going to sew that elastic to the fabric Now, when you get down to about here, you're going to want the other end of that elastic brought around to here. So we're going to reach inside, get that piece of elastic, bring it back down here to this end, and do the same thing as we did at the other end, just holding it right inside here at the end of the fabric. So we make sure to catch it with the needle. Match it back up. So you can see we've already got the strap for one side. Now we're going to turn it over, make sure that we've matched our arrows up, stick this end of the elastic right here on the inside again, match it up with those arrows, fold it back in half, make sure it's even on the end. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just stitch it right down this. Okay, same thing. We're going to reach inside, grab the other end of the elastic, pull it down, and stick it right inside of this end. And then we're going to sew over the top of that. Now I'm going to give you a little tip on what I've been doing. Because at the ends you want it to be nice and clean, you don't want them to come unfrayed, otherwise this is going to become loose. When I finish a row and I have the thread left over, I always make sure to have about this much thread left over so that I could tie it very tight in a double knot right there at the ends. And that way it really secures it and nothing ever comes undone. I just lied about the double, I did a triple. Now we're going to flip it back right side out. Make sure you push those corners out there. And you can see we've got the beginnings of this mask here. All right, now we're going to take this and we're going to find the middle by doing that. That's the middle. So we're going to kind of fold it over like that. You want to make the flap pointing down away from the opening. And this doesn't have to be perfect. I try to make them about 1/4 inch right there. And then I do the same thing right here. Find the middle, fold it down, put another pin in it. Then over here, we find the middle, pull it down, put another pin in it, so that now we've got 3 of them, just like that. We're going to just do this end first, and then we'll come down and do that end. We're going to take that, and I like to line this up right here, the end of the fabric, with the bottom of the foot. Just like that. Now, when you get to the pin, you can leave the pin in there and go very slow, or you can pull the pin out and hold it as you go over it. But I recommend that you leave the pin in. Now, watch as I do this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I always like to do this on these masks because we don't want them to come unraveled. I just tie a couple knots in the bottom of the thread because we really want to hold on to this very tightly in here before I cut it. I'll do this other end too, and then we can take the pins out. And looky there. Then you're going to turn around and we're going to do it again with this side. We're going to find the middle. We're going to fold it about this much. You can probably compare it with my finger right here. It's about 1/4 inch or 1 centimeter, something like that. I guess I'm meaning 1/2 inch. I don't know math. Don't ask me these things. Then we're going to find the half point here again. Fold it over. And do the same thing up here. Now you can see the reason why it's easier to do this with stripes, because if you're folding it over, you can do this end almost exactly the same way as you do this end, because you can say red matches red, and then come down here and make red match red again. So it's kind of easier to do it with stripes. But no one's going to sit there and measure how well you're doing it anyway. So now I'm just going to sew the other end. Okay, and then we're just going to tie off the last of the strings. Cut them off. Pull the pins out. And when you pull it, then you can kind of see where your mask is here. Now you're going to take your filter here and cut it in half to make it fit the size of the pocket here. And just kind of grab it at the ends and fit it all the way to the bottom. Bring it up to the top. And there you go. You've got your completed mask.